We're good.
I can see it. We're good. Good. All right. So I want to welcome all of you. My name's Connie Ashburn. I'm the National Field Development Director for Pink Zebra. And my guest today is?
I'm Krista Clay, and I'm an Executive Manager with Pink Zebra. Hello.
Right. And many of you probably know, if you've been around Pink Zebra for any length of time, I'm sure you know Krista and her name and certainly what she does and her success. But, you know, we are in I think, a really awesome time in our company. First of all, we have so many new exciting things happening. And this is a great season, of course, as we come into, now we're in early September, where we know this industry does extremely well over the next how many months because people are gifting and buying and fragrancing their homes for the holidays and all of that. So we're in a really good spot, don't you think?
Absolutely. I know that we had a really great August, and it's starting early this year.
Yes, that's really good. That's exciting. So, and the reality of it is that some of you that are going to be listening to this may have not sponsored anybody at all. Some of you may have, a small team that you've developed, and others of you may have very large teams. But sponsoring, in my opinion, being in the industry as long as I was probably the thing that brought me the greatest joy. Certainly earned me money as well, but the joy that comes from sponsoring, when I would say all the time that if people don't sponsor, they're missing really, I think, the best part of what we do. So
it's helping change their lives the way that it's changed things for you. And Absolutely. So if you're, I'm a nurturer. I am by nature, I'm a nurturer. And I love to help people see what they are capable of and to see the vision that so many, sometimes they're not able to see it on their own. And I love to help people be successful.
Yeah. And I think that's where that joy and satisfaction comes in. So, but anyway, just to kind of tell you a little bit of background on Krista, she was in the top 5 in terms of qualified recruits, meaning that they joined, but then they went on to become qualified. So that means they didn't just buy a kit and then never do anything ever again. So that was for the 2018-2019 reunion year. And then she also received a Paisley this year. Congratulations, you had several, but for frontline promotions. So that again just shows that the people that she's bringing into the business, not that every single person goes out and becomes a rock star, but you had the greatest success with those people advancing. So congratulations.
Don't make me cry. Don't make me cry.
I'm sorry. So because we are in this goal to hit 82,000 consultants this month, and I don't care if you are listening to this 2 years from now, because we're going to put this on the Academy. You know, we are always about building and impacting people. So it doesn't matter what time of year, when you're going to listen to this thing, you know, we are always in this mode of expanding and letting more people become part of the Pink Zebra community and family. So whether it's hosting or obviously just buying a product, but more so being part of our family as a consultant, because that's really where we know we can have the greatest impact. So,
Absolutely.
So I'm going to just jump in and ask you some questions today as we kind of interview. And we are going to be doing several of these like sponsoring interviews over this next week and a half with some people. So Krista's not going to cover from A to Z, you know, how do you sponsor? What do you do? That's not what this is for, but we're going to ask her to share some of those things that she has found success in. And then, you know, through this journey of this sponsoring promotions or period, we're going to, hopefully fill in some of those gaps for people. So to start, do you set a goal for yourself for sponsoring each month?
Listen, I honestly, everybody is a potential sponsor for me. So indirectly, my answer is my goal is to get anyone and everyone on board to either come and join our family this month, 3 months down the road, 6 months down the road, a year from now. I've had it happen multiple times.
I was one of those.
Yeah, every day is all about eventually they will join our team. But I do believe that goals are super important, and you have to have something to work towards, or what are you working towards? You know what I mean? You have to say, how am I going to get there and plan it out? I believe that wholeheartedly. But I think that when people say, I want to start with 2 people a month. I mean, at least 2 people a month, but if we're just starting, 2 people a month. But you can't go after 2. You cannot go after the number 2, right? Because your mindset becomes, I got to get it, I got to get it, I got to get it,
Right.
like a car salesman. I got to get this sale, I got to get this, because you're going to go at them like that. That's where the difference is. We have to start changing our mindset about how are we approaching people. We have to start listening. We have to start getting to know them, talk with them, not at them. It's our job to educate everybody about what Pink Zebra is, and it's our job to listen. It's our job to build those relationships. I know it's a cliche word, but it is reality. We have to earn their trust. If they don't trust us, we have nothing. But I always, it's a hard question to answer because goals are critical. But your goal should be to start out every day with at least a few things that you're going to do to interact with these people. It's constant interaction. Now, I work pretty much online. Everybody knows that. But when I'm out there in the public, I don't care if it's going to the dollar store or I'm going to the fair or I went to Canada last week. I left samples everywhere. I left samples in the girls' bathroom at the rest stops, okay, attached to my business card. Because if I don't constantly have my face and my information out there in front of people, no matter how it is, and they're not seeing me, they'll forget about me. And somebody else will pop in. I mean, it's this constant, nonstop flow of interacting without shoving it down their throat. And there is a huge difference there.
So I think the key of that is that when you have a sponsoring mindset, meaning that is part of your business routine and it's something that you expect to happen regularly, you have to be intentional and you have to be focused on it. And it doesn't mean you never sleep, you never take a break, you never have dinner, you don't, that's not what this is about.
Right.
But as you interact with people, you are always thinking, could they be my next team member? Or could they be my next leader if they are a team member already? So we talk about this funnel, that basically you're trying to fill this funnel with people all the time. So you are not badgering them. You're not constantly talking about the business. You are, as you said, building that relationship because they're going in your funnel. And then someday they're going to come out the bottom because they go through these stages of acceptance, which I'm going to talk about really briefly in a few minutes. But they finally now feel like, oh my gosh, I think I want to be part of Krista's world. I want to be part of that thing that she's got going on right now. So I'm going to take the next step. But if you don't create that funnel of those people, which is something you do all the time, then it becomes a challenge. So when we put a sponsoring challenge on as a company like now, we're trying to get to 82,000 consultants by the end of September. So we've got a big number this month and we're at, we're going to be somewhere in that 80,000 plus range, but it's a big sponsoring month. So now you sit and think, okay, I really haven't had sponsoring on my mind for the last couple months. It's just not something I think about. So now I got to pull maybe to help the team reach their goal or to help the company. I've got to pull out a couple people. Now I got to start targeting and I got to start connecting and whatever, but I've not laid any foundation for that. So I guess the whole thing is that, not that you can't do that, and we're going to talk a little bit about that later too, but when you are constantly in that mindset, like you said, that sponsoring is just part of what I do, your funnel is always full, always full. So when you connect with some of those people, are you ready yet? I mean, I had the person that sponsored me do that. I was in her funnel for a year, and she connected with me every 3 to 4 months. Has anything in your life changed? And finally, after a year, yeah, I'm ready. But if I had not been in her funnel, and she had called me one time in that year when I was ready, I would not have been through that stage of acceptance yet. So anyway.
They're watching everything that you do, even if they're not doing anything, they're still watching. And I've had it multiple times where they're like, they message me out of the clear blue sky and they're like, okay, I'm ready. And I'm like, for what? Because I haven't even talked, right? And they're watching what you do on your personal page. They're watching how you talk to the other people in the group. They're
Right.
watching who you are. They're getting to know you. They're like, I don't know, but they're getting to know you, and they're getting to know your family, and they're getting to know your animals, and you're getting to know them and their family and their animals. And I know when people are pregnant before their husbands know, and I've never physically met them. and that's just it, though. I mean, it's a relationship building thing, but when they're in your funnel and
right.
a special comes out, you have so many more people that are ready to do that. Now, there are ways to get around that if you don't have a funnel, but today is your day to start building that funnel.
Absolutely true. No question. All right. So you may have already kind of answered this, but I just want to see if there's anything else that you would touch on in terms of what approach that you take to sponsoring. And you've talked about, obviously, the relationship and building that funnel. So is there anything else that you would add alongside that?
There's a few things that I do quite frequently. Now, some people are going to say, I don't know people well enough to do that. And it comes back to building that funnel. But when I have a party going on, and I watch everything, of course, because you've got to be present, and I see somebody, a hostess or even a guest, and they are on it, and they're saying the right things, and they're just present, and their energy is like bam, and yeah, and every time they do something, everybody's right there. I will say to them, I'll be like, girl, I'm just going to sit back here and let you be the consultant. Joking, kind of like that. Yeah. And they're like, what? I'm like, you're doing amazing. You have to point out to them what they're doing right, because you may be the only person who's given them a compliment in who knows how long. And you're planting seeds. You know, you have to take the good and show them, like, this is how easy that this can be if you put a little work in it. You know, want to be honest with them and tell them the work. But you're a consultant right now. You're doing it. And they don't even realize it, because a lot of people think that they know how to do a party, and they think they know what direct sales is, and they think they know. They don't. They have no clue. And so when you point out to them, like, girl, you are like,
you could do this.
Wow, like, are you sure you don't want to do this? And kind of a joking manner, even if they blow you off, trust me that when they leave you, they go home and they think about it. The seed is planned. They'll go home and think about it. And maybe something else happens at work, and work is like that. And then they say, and they go to your page and they start looking, and now they're really paying attention, because they're seeing you went to Ireland, or you went to this trip or that trip, and they're seeing you wearing the Grand Canyon, and they're seeing, wow, she did win some awards, or, you know, and they're looking like, wow, she's like really cool. She's playing games, and she's giving away samples, and she's just giving away samples. It can't be that bad. And now her mind is doing this. The next thing you know, and it could be a couple days, it could be a couple weeks, it might be a couple months, but she's saying, so what are the requirements to do this? As soon as they do that,
that's what we call the green flag. The flag goes up, and you're like, okay, that is like, exactly it.
See, I do a lot of that. I have a girl on my VIP page that she's just constantly bringing people from her work. And I'm like, why? And this is how you book parties too. Yeah. Like, girl, don't you want to book a party and you can get some hostess rewards? It's the same thing. You're paying attention, and you're responding, and you're noticing, and you're planting those seeds, whether it's the bookings or the sponsoring. It all is the same stuff.
Right, absolutely.
You're paying attention and pointing out what they're good at and why it would benefit them, you know, to do this. Or maybe they start talking to you and say, man, my son's been really sick, or these doctor bills, or these credit card bills, or the school loan, or Christmas. Right now is Christmas. You can pay for your entire Christmas with your commission in the next 3 months. That is a great way to put that out there. I posted it on my team.
I saw you posted it. Yeah, I saw you.
You know, if you do this now, I'm not going to put all that out on the group, but do you know that you could do this for 3 months and pay for your Christmas?
Yeah.
That is a big thing for people, because people are living paycheck to paycheck, and they have to find a way to pay for Christmas. And in the spring, they have to find a way to pay for vacation.
Mm-hmm.
They have to find a way to pay for school clothes. They have to find another avenue. And you guys, I was a kidnapper. I wasn't going to do this. And now I'm working from home doing it full time. So little seeds can turn into great big trips to Ireland. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But they don't know what those opportunities are, and they're not looking at it from our viewpoint. They don't know what's available to them until we tell them. And just because we post it once in a while, just because we throw it out there, it doesn't always stick, and they don't always see it. So we got to point out to them.
Absolutely. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions about our industry and our business that you can absolutely fill in those blanks. And I feel like when you're in front of enough people, that's honestly the key, in my opinion, to sponsoring. Yep. You can't expect, if you are not in front of people, whether it's online or whether you're doing parties or whether you're going to events on a regular basis, whatever it is that you're connecting with customers, really think about how many people am I actually in front of. And I don't mean face to face necessarily, because right now we're in front of each other, but we're not in the same room, in the same city, in the same place. So, but you know, the fact is, the more people that you interact with and that you are in front of, the greater chance you have at building a team. There's no question. So you can't expect that if you're just sending out samples and you're not doing parties, you're not doing events, you're just kind of talking about your business, that you're going to sponsor, because you have to be in front of people, however, whatever way that works for you. So
it's kind of like, if you don't ever ask, the answer is always going to be no.
That's very true.
It's the same thought process. I used to tell people in my previous life that if you only ask 2 people, you can't expect 8 sales.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's the same thing with bookings. It's the same thing with sponsoring.
Yeah.
Sometimes people don't even know they want this until they actually have a conversation about it. Just because you post it, that's not a conversation, and it's not always a seed. It's a picture.
It is. And we are really in, I think, the education and information business. Because people will say no to something, whether it's booking a party or whether it's even trying your product for that matter, because they're in a pattern, they're buying from wherever source, and they're not discontented until they see the difference with Pink Zebra. And then certainly from a sponsoring standpoint, and many people will say no, put that hand up, because they don't know what they don't know, plain and simple. Exactly. So if you put yourself in a place of informing and educating instead of trying to convince, it's a very different line to cross.
Perfect way to say that. Quit trying to convince them. This is the best way I probably heard it said in a while. Stop trying to convince people. Share what you love. Share why you love it. Point out what you've noticed about them or when they do it. And the best way to do it is when you see them do it, that's when you point it out. Because you can't come 3 days later. It's like punishing a dog 3 days after they...
Right. They're like, what the heck?
You can't do it. You see them doing something, you'll be like, Amy, I just have to tell you that was freaking amazing. And be real.
Yeah.
Be you. Don't be fake. Don't message her and say, that was freaking amazing. Like, can I use that? Because you sound like a consultant right now. Maybe that's the first seed.
There you go.
And the next time they do it, but it takes you to do it without being pushy, and that's not being pushy. That's giving a compliment.
Absolutely.
That's where the seeds come.
And there's sometimes when someone actually says no to you, you know, it's okay to ask. You know, have you had a bad experience before? Have you ever tried a business like this before? You know, I always like to understand if you're absolutely saying this is not going to work for me, I want to understand if you know enough about what we do. Because again, that inform and educate piece comes in, and I am completely fine if I was talking to you, Krista, that after you hear some of the things I share with you and you tell me this isn't going to work for me, we're going to still be buddies. You know, it's that simple. Because I don't have any need to convince you to do anything. I want people to come into this industry because it's going to work for them and for whatever situation that they're in. That's it.
You just said something really critical there. You want it to work for them. It's not about you. You want it to work for them. So maybe somebody is just talking to you and they're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do about this credit card debt or whatever it is. And you say, listen, I know that I brought this up before. I know that I have, and I know you're not interested, but I'm not sure that I gave you enough information the first time.
Absolutely.
I mean, do you want to just hear what the possibilities are? I mean, take 2 or 3 months and take the commission and pay that bill off.
Yeah.
That's not being pushy. You're trying to help them. That's where active listening comes in. We've got to stop talking at people and trying to get what we need out of it. It's not about us. You're going to get triple what you need when you start giving people what they need. And 9 times out of 10, all they need is for you to listen.
So true. I just feel like if you come from a place with a servitude heart where you are trying to help and support, it's not going to be about you at all. Your agenda is not part of the issue in any sense of the word. Correct. So, okay. So do you send anything, email anything, or use your Facebook groups? Like, kind of tell me a little bit about like how that communication piece happens. If someone, you said you're paperless. You told me earlier that you're paperless. So what kinds of things do you do?
And I am paperless because we have a virtual catalog, and I want to we train our customers from the beginning of how we want to do business. I don't deal with money. I don't deal with, they have links, and that's how we do it virtual. But when I post a party, they get a business card, the pamphlets, and a catalog. And I do give them, depending on, like 10 to 15 samples, because I want them to take them to work. I want them to take them to family. I want them to give them to their neighbors. I want them to show the picture on the party, yada, yada, yada. I don't send papers because I believe that they don't read them. I want to talk to them.
Right.
I want to have those conversations with them. I send them little 1-minute videos. Your packet's in the mail. Let me know when it gets to you. Hey, I'm getting ready to set up your thing. So I have 3 or 4 little videos that I'll send them through PM, and I chat with them through PM. And because from day one, it's about building the relationship, because they're a potential sponsor.
Yeah.
Their sister's a potential sponsor, or their best friend's a potential sponsor, and I do that with every single person. And then it begins.
It's interesting. I in my previous company, the one that I think she might have been number 2 in sponsoring this particular year, and I asked her, where do most of her leads come from? And she told me she went back through and looked at her year, and over 50% of her sponsored consultants that year were referrals. She was really good about asking, who do you know? And I'll tell you my own personal story, one of the most successful leaders in my organization that I sponsored at an event in Atlanta, and I lived in Michigan, was because I met her mom at something and said, who do you know? Like, I'm looking for some people in this area that are interested in a part-time, home-based type business, whatever. Who do you know? And it was her daughter. So her daughter ended up connecting with me, and we had many, many phone calls before she sponsored. She was one of the most difficult people I've ever sponsored before, but also became a massive part of my organization and was an incredible friend. So it is that, who do you know? Be thinking about that, because there are people that may not be interested, but they know someone that would. So
it's all about networking. It's networking and networking within your VIP group, always growing that, and networking with other direct sales people, and it's all about that, because they're going to each open up a different door.
Yeah, absolutely.
It starts with getting your face out there first, and being consistent. You can't be. I've seen people say, "I forgot to post in my group today." How do you forget?
You're like, what?
Your business today? Now it should just be if it's 1 time a day, 2 times a day, 3 times a day in your VIP group, but it has to be consistent. It can't be every 3 days. It can't be every 2 days. But there's definitely a way. There's people out there too that don't know you and don't know Pink Zebra, but they are right now ready to make a change.
Something. Yeah, absolutely.
If something happened at work, something happened in their life, and they need money, or they just need a change, or maybe they just need a really good, positive group of people to be around.
So I want to mention one thing, because we said earlier that we were going to talk about the 4 stages of acceptance quickly. So I think it happens in 2 major places. One, when they come into a party, if they're doing a party, whether it's online or whether it's alive at someone's home, Most people walk in the door thinking, I'm not going to buy anything. I'm not booking one of these parties. And I'm sure that they're saying, I'm not joining this company, because they all know, they know the plan, they know the program. So it is our job as consultants to just keep planting those seeds, because we want to move them through those 4 stages of acceptance.
Right.
So even when you're building a relationship with them online, or you're doing an online party, or you're connecting with a customer that's ordering you on monthly, most people start out, the 4 stages are, the first stage is, there is no way. Again, I'm not buying, I'm not doing, I'm not, whatever. I'm very happy with the candles I buy from wherever. So that's the first stage. And then as you start to build that relationship with them, and they, I kind of like this girl, whatever it might be, then they might say, this is kind of interesting. So whether it's booking or whether it's joining, this is just like, okay, I think my ears open a little bit to this. The third phase is where they think, oh my gosh, there's just so much more to this than I expected, whatever it might be, or they really like your style, or they like you, or whatever. And by the time they get to that 4th stage, they're like, you know what, Krista, I think I'd like to get some more information, or I'd like to learn more about your company or your business, which is what you've just talked about. Yeah. So I can tell you, people are going through those 4 stages of acceptance, whether you get them through that in a week, in a day, in 2 hours, in a year. It's happening. There's no question, but you just never know. And so the more that you post, the more that you connect, the more you build the relationship, the faster those stages go.
So. And the connecting and the relationships are the keys there, because when you say the more you post, some people think, oh, well, I post all the time. Mm-hmm. The problem is, are you just posting, or are you interacting with them and getting to know them? Okay, so you post and 5 people comment. Are you just liking? Mm-hmm. Or are you going in and responding to each one of them? And when we're talking about online, liking is lazy. And if you don't respond to people and in a timely manner, it's not something that's going to work for you. You can't build a relationship that way. You have to.
What's funny is it just made me think of my brother. And he is, he's now retired, but very late in his life, like in his mid-50s, he decided to sell cars, believe it or not. So we talk about car salesmen all the time, but my brother became a car salesman. He was in Arizona, and we came from Detroit, so we were a car state big time. But anyway, he decided he was going to go into car sales, and he became the most successful car salesman at that dealership, like within 8 months. Seriously. And his whole thing was, he literally would call people, wish them happy birthday. He'd find out when their anniversary was. He sent them cards. If they stopped in at the dealership, he'd send them a postcard. He'd send them a message. He did that kind of stuff all the time. And within 8 or 9 months, he did extremely well. So it's just kind of funny how
putting his face
in
front of.
Absolutely.
If anybody ever thought about a car, who's the name that's going to pop in their mind?
No question.
Whether they needed it or somebody else needed it, they would say, oh no, I had a guy like that myself. Yeah. And I went back to him 4 times.
Yeah. He got referrals all the time. When their kids got ready to buy cars, they'd come in.
Word of mouth is
huge.
So huge. So when somebody walks in somebody's house and says, oh my gosh, it smells so good. Oh, let me hook you up with Krista.
Right.
She's amazing. And not just, hey, I have a girl I buy this stuff from, and I can get you a couple samples. That's different than, let me get you in touch with Krista because she is fantastic and she's going to totally take care of you.
Yeah.
2 different statements. Same statement, but totally different meanings.
Absolutely. Okay, so I want to just ask, if someone sets a goal for themselves this month, we've got this sponsoring thing going on, of course. We're very excited about, really touching and reaching more people and more consultants bringing into our company, because we know what the impact is. We know how awesome it is. So if they are either wanting to participate in the company goal, or their own team has kind of set a goal where you guys want to sponsor so many this month to contribute to the company goal, and they've maybe not had a lot of experience with sponsoring, whatever, where would you recommend they start?
There's a few things that I have done. I'll give you some suggestions, and tweak them, twist them, do what you want. And everybody does everything different. There's so many great ideas out there.
Yeah.
Number 1, I would definitely get on and tactfully come up with a way to talk about paying for your Christmas. That impacts a lot of people right now. Talk about it being the biggest time of the year, our busiest season, and that you literally, with your commission, could pay for your Christmas.
I want to add something to that. I don't want to lose your train of thought, but I would literally target certain areas. So if I didn't do a lot of business in a certain subdivision, and I was a party person, so I'll tell you that I did home parties, but if I didn't have business in a certain subdivision and didn't have a connection there, so if I knew a friend or met somebody at a party, whatever, I would target that and say, I'm looking for someone specifically in your area. And this is such a great time. That's what made me think of it when you just said the seasonal thing, because so many people are fragrancing their home and gift buying. And I'm just curious. I mean, have you ever thought about adding a business alongside what might be going on in your life right now? So anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Also, they can purchase all their own business.
Absolutely.
Make the commission too.
Mm-hmm.
So, these are things, these are seeds, to plant. The other thing you can do is you have a VIP group, right?
Mm-hmm.
Put an event inside your VIP group and host a party.
Mm-hmm.
Host a party. And in that party, you're going to talk about the join opportunity right away. You're going to have to start right away now, but it's something you can do anytime too. Talk about the join opportunity, but not right away. Post that, and then a little bit later, you want to post another post that says, people have been asking me what the qualifications to become a consultant are, and put them. Make it free, make it happy, make it sound great. Like today I did one, and it said they were bullet pointed. 25 to 35% commission. Yes, I'm serious. $150 sales requirement in a rolling 6-month period. No joke. Explanation mark. And I made it fun. And they're like, what? So we planted the seed where there's a join special, but they don't know what that means.
Right.
They don't know what it looks like. They don't know what they're like, oh, so they want me to join their company and pay all this money and do all this stuff. That's what their mindset is. But I don't want to shove it down their throats. I'm going to come back a little later and put this post and tell them what the, and if you choose to build a team, you can make additional, I put little things after each one. And then there's optional quick starts where you can make free, pink dollars. And I don't want to tell them what that is right there. I want them to ask me questions. I'm not giving too much, but and there's $11.95 web fee. Please don't forget to tell people that. First 30 days are free, and holy moly, who can get a website for $12?
Right.
And then I wait. And people will be like, wow, and oh my gosh. And so again, it's throwing it out there. And I'll bet you somebody actually thinks about it. The other thing that we're doing that we have found on the team that has worked amazing is like an opportunity group. And I've been to several for other companies out there, and I've kind of watched and learned and brought it back to our team. And it's incredible. Several people from the team, and let's say that you only have a team of 6 people. Fine, that's all it takes, right? It's you 6 people. You have a great big team, certain people will sign up to do it. So we have a 3-day event, and everybody invites their customers, their VIP groups, and their personal page, and everybody has their own people there, right? We have over 800 people in this event right now, and right? And so what's happening is somebody is getting on and welcoming everybody. I did that. We are going through the motions. Somebody signs up to do sprinkles. Somebody signs up to do soap. Somebody signs up to do mixology. Somebody signs up to do warmers. Somebody signs up to do shades. Somebody signs up to, I did the opportunity last night with the sale. And in between, we're staggering them out over the days, and we put a schedule up, and in between there, people are plugged in to tell their story. And it's a lot. It's a lot of live video, and it's live video. Get your face in front of people, get them to know you. And with each live, they're doing a giveaway. And it might just be this, right? But maybe somebody says, no, I want this to be my prize. It doesn't matter. Whatever they want to give away for their live, they can do. It can be a Starbucks card. It doesn't matter. But people will show up because they're getting free stuff. They're getting entered in to win free stuff.
Anyone that comments is basically entered into the drawing for whatever is being featured at that particular point.
Comment, like, and share.
Right. Okay.
Comment, like, and share. These people are doing watch parties from our group out there. They're, it's insane. It's kind of insane. And it gets to be a lot because when you have 800 people commenting in a group, it gets crazy. That's why it's only 3 days. And we talked about at the beginning, hey, this is going to be crazy, but it's going to be great. And then anybody who orders anything gets entered into a separate prize. Anybody who books a party gets into a separate prize. Anybody who joins the team gets entered into a separate giveaway.
Right.
And parties and sales were happening the first 2 hours of it.
Right.
And it might not be $1 billion, but all the people that are afraid to ask for bookings, all the people that are afraid to ask for the sale, all the people that are afraid to really talk about the opportunity, all they have to do is get their people there. It's being done.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a great thing because there's all these people learning about us, our product, and the opportunity, but more so, they're getting to know us.
Right.
Watching us as a team interact with each other. They're watching our culture, and they're judging us. So we want them to do that because we want them to see, wow, they're like amazing. They like really get along and they're really lifting each other up, and there's no drama and there's no negativity, and like I need that in my life. And then I posted, the opportunity last night, woke up to a bunch of questions. So then that was my key. They asked me. So I went and posted all the qualifications for joining, and people were like, wait, what? $150? That's all you need for sales? Like, they don't know. They do not know because so many direct sales companies out there require so much more, and they've heard the horror stories. They don't know what they don't know. It takes us to put it out there. And we have people now that had no intention of ever joining Pink Zebra that are now thinking about it because they got to know us. And it doesn't even have to be my consultant or their consultant, somebody else's consultant. They're just watching the interaction and the energy, and they're learning about the product, and they're watching the fun, and the energy is there, and it's changing things for them. People will join that never had any intention on doing it.
So I think the key there is that you've got a multitude of people, mostly leaders, I think, that are sharing.
Anyone who signs up.
So their PC story, whatever it may be, and the one thing that you're doing is you're creating some commonality for someone in that audience. So whether they get your story or not, if they're your person, they're going to come back to you.
Correct.
You've seen this whole, learning about somebody that maybe works full time and does this business. Maybe they're, you got very young kids and they're working it from home around their families. Maybe they've got part-time jobs and they've been able to, add some extra income to their family's budget because they're struggling with debt if they share something like that, whatever it is. I mean, everybody's got their story, but the more people that you can create that commonality with, the greater chance you have of bringing them in. And now they want to be part of the team environment. That's what they're really looking for.
Correct. And they make a connection with you. Maybe it's because you have an autistic child, maybe, and I can tell them I worked 50 hours a week and went to school and had a toddler and did this all at the same time. Somebody else can say, I was really shy and I never thought that I would ever be able to talk to people, and she kept telling me I could, so I did, and now look at me. And it's those stories for all these different people who think they can't. And you can watch it on there. You can watch them shift through the stages.
Absolutely.
Like, I just want my free stuff. I want my free stuff to $150. Really? That's all it takes? No, you guys. And just because we post a $50 off joint special, that doesn't mean anything to them. It's that the bottom line cost is going to be this.
Right.
That's all it means to them. They don't know the benefits. You got to give them the value and the benefits of it.
It's almost like when they see that join special, it is literally the tip of the iceberg. And the iceberg is all that stuff that they don't know about our company, our business, our product, how it can fit into their life, what kind of money they can earn. It's all of that stuff that is the iceberg, and that's what you need to bring.
Amen. And you don't need the $50 off join special to do that.
Right.
The $150 in the rolling 6-month period alone makes people's ears stand up.
Right.
That's all I need. So if you are buying, here's another tip. If you have a customer that's constantly buying from you, I mean, I would be like, Sue, you do realize that you could be a consultant and get a 25% discount because you buy enough
Right.
to qualify for that. Why don't you go ahead and sign up, get the big box of greatness, and use a discount?
Right.
Some people just don't bothered with it, but you got to plant the seed. They don't know. They just think she can get that discount.
Absolutely.
That's another way. Maybe you go through your list and you say, let me look at people who are consistently buying. And let me talk to them and say, hey, Sally, I don't want to like pressure you or anything, but we're having this joint special and I'm looking through my list and I noticed that you have spent X amount of dollars in the last 6 months.
Right.
So that you could have done that and got a 25% discount, and no pressure at all, but I just wanted you to know that.
Right, right. And I think the thing about that too is if you are buying consistently, my guess is you're probably sharing it with some of your friends. I'm getting the business for that. I'm taking the commission for that. You could be doing that. So it's kind of like just opening that door to the fact that even if they just want to share it with friends, coworkers, whatever, they've got an opportunity to earn some money doing so. So they're going to satisfy their PZ fix. Absolutely.
They're just happy buying their sprinkles. They have no idea they can. I signed up for my discount, and that is the truth. And I had a salaried corporate America job. There was no intention of doing any of this. And the only thing I can say is I wish I would have done it 8 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And then how long into it did you leave your salary job?
1 year.
1 year? Okay.
I could have left. I signed up in August. I didn't start working the business until October, and I promoted to EM in May.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah. So I could have quit my job in May, but in my mind, the bottom's going to drop out. This will never last. It's I got to see consistency, and I kept seeing it, and there was a buyout at my company, and they came in and changed everything, and it got really, you know how buyouts are, and it was just it was like, I don't have to do this. I don't have to stay here and be stressed out. I don't have to do this because
I've got this thing I can do.
I've got this thing that I kidnapped for.
Exactly.
And,
exactly.
It was just incredible, but I did work my business. I'll share something with you guys real quick, and I don't know if it's on topic or off topic, but it will come into play with your funnel. He's probably like, okay, we got to get off here. But listen, real quick, we've all been through stuff and personal stuff, and Lord knows I've had my share in my lifetime. And how do I say? So my why has changed a couple times since I started Pink Zebra. I didn't really have a why in the beginning. And then when I was able to quit work, I mean, it was just, I'm 45 years old. I've never been able to not work. I mean, it was just, and now I'm at home and I'm like, there's no way I'm ever going back.
Yeah.
I'll make sure that don't happen. But things happen, and I had a pretty significant situation personally happen to me last year. And here's something I did notice. I didn't intentionally step back, but it just kind of happened because I was in a place personally. And I noticed that when I slowed down, I didn't stop. I just slowed down. I wasn't I started to notice my team get quieter. I started to note, and I have the most amazing team ever. And I started, it was weird that they were getting quiet because they're not quiet. Then my VIP group started getting quiet, and which was weird because they're not quiet. And I was like, one day I was just sitting looking around. I was like, my sales dropped just a little bit. I was like, what is going on? And I had to literally check myself because they didn't change. I changed. And my consistency changed. And because I wasn't being 150% in my business, my head wasn't in there. And it wasn't on purpose. It just, life happens, right? And thank God for the team and the people because they saved me.
Yeah.
Thank God for them. But I had to check myself and say, well, they're quiet because I'm quiet. Like, who are they going to, if I'm not talking to them, they can talk together, but they're not going to talk to me if I'm not talking to them, And then my VIP group, if I'm not posting and they're consistently, who are they going to talk to? They're going to sit there and post to each other, and that's not how that works. They make friends with each other and get off screen. But when I came back, and I had to say, Krista, it's not them, it's not the company, it's not the product, it's you. Mm-hmm. When I came back, bam, there everybody was again.
Right, right.
Sales came up for everybody. The sales came up on this side. They started purchasing again. Why? Because I was putting it out there consistently.
Yeah.
And things started to happen again. But every time that you take a step back, like Christmas time, happens at Christmas time every year. Like if I have a vacation at work, I never want to go back on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to work on Monday. Nobody wants to go back to work on Monday. So it's very hard once you take a step backwards. Oh, it's so hard. You got to rework the algorithm on the computer. You got to rework people getting back in, and then you got to reel these people back in, and you lost some.
Yeah.
In there, right? And now you got to figure out how to replace them. So here's my advice. Don't step back. Keep the algorithm and the motivation and the forward motion, even if it's just a little bit. Somebody's trying to come. Even if it's just a little bit, keep it moving.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the consistency creates momentum, and that's obviously what you felt. That momentum was dying, and when you got yourself back re-engaged, your momentum started kicking back up again, and that can be your greatest ally in this business. There's no question. So,
right.
Okay, so we are going to bring this to a close. I thank you so much for sharing your expertise, and hopefully you, maybe lit a fire under someone or encourage them to just be in this space. And I think the thing that everybody needs to know is think about your funnel all the time. Like you're constantly filling that funnel. Yeah.
And your mindset, change it. If you're the I can't, I won't, it don't, nobody wants to be around that.
Yeah.
You're going to start to realize around you that the people start to float away. But if you're like, it will and it can, and we can call whatever we want, but you can manifest it, and it is a real thing. Positivity will attract. People want to be part of that.
Absolutely.
They want to smile. They want to laugh. They want to be part of something that is uplifting and a good time. But if it's complaining and negativity, then that's what's going to happen. You're going to speak it into existence. I can't, I won't, I don't. Well, of course not, because you keep waking up every day telling yourself that it doesn't and you can't. Of course not. You have to change that.
Absolutely. That mindset shift is if someone asks you, they met you at Target, whatever, and they said, Krista, what have you been up to? What are you doing these days? I would guarantee most consultants would say, I sell this home fragrance product, blah, 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 whatever you might say about sprinkles or whatever it is. Rarely, and they may say, I do parties, that's possible, but rarely will they say, I'm a recruiter for helping people start their own business. I mean, if you think about that, that's exactly what you are. And your mind shift is all about that first, because that's what I do is I help women, for the most part, start their own home-based businesses. End of statement, done. I step back. That pull energy we talk about sometimes happens because they're going to say, how do you do that? Like, what do you do? Instead of doing this whole 4-minute dissertation on sprinkles and, our simmering lights and, all of that. So again, it's part of that mindset. When you have that sponsoring hat on, and that's what you're doing, is that you are looking for people out in your community in places that you are often at. That's what you're doing. And it'll start to shift basically your word choices and what you say and do. So
it will, and you'll start to find ways. When somebody says, hey, what are you up to? You start with
right.
You'll start with, well, I'm working from home now. And Rory is in first grade. Can you believe it? And I have this crazy dog, and and a
24-pound cat.
Yeah, and he's right here. Here over a little bit ago. And you start talking about that, and then let them ask you, figure out a way to get them. You want them to come to you.
Right, absolutely.
To ask you questions. And when they do that, they open it up for you to talk about it. You find ways then to do it, and you realize that now you've gotten this funnel to the point where it's nonstop. And I mean, maybe you'll have an off month. Everybody has an off month. Don't let that kill you. It happens, right? I didn't sponsor anybody in September. I sponsored 8 people in August. So you know, it's a thing. Life happens, so don't let it drown you out. But the funnel will be fuller, longer lasting, and all of a sudden, people are coming to you to ask you about the opportunity. And all of a sudden, people are coming to you and saying, hey, I want to book a party. And you're just like, okay, sure, what do you want to know?
It does happen if you hang in there long enough. Keep doing what you're doing.
You create it for you. It's not going to happen overnight. You cannot create that overnight.
Yeah, absolutely.
It takes some time, so that if you're just starting and you're brand new and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know, by the time that there's another join special or another catalog at the end of January, your funnel will be full for you. Your funnel will be there, and you will have created this whole atmosphere for yourself that when it's time to say, hey, you guys, oh my gosh, I have this, and here's the information, you know, then it's going to be there. So
absolutely. So begin today. That's it. You know, the advice is begin today. Just put that sponsoring hat on and start building that funnel if you're not already doing that. And certainly I would encourage you to reach out to some people if you're trying to target certain areas. And obviously we've got this goal. So this may be a time that you might, you know, pick up the phone and call some people. So thank you, Krista. I hope this has been helpful. Oh, absolutely. It's a joy. All right. Take care. We're going to say goodbye to everybody. See ya.